Back row minister of the world permit Mr. Motley coming at you live and direct. As we prepare for what is going to be known as the new normal, I want to prepare everybody for what's going to take place in the new normal. We talked about this on many different occasions. So, kind of caught this story. Business Insider made a knife, 59, a Negro number is why they released this story. And it says that New York City is readying 1,200 hotel rooms with laundry service and meals as part of the city's coronavirus testing and tracing efforts. Now, New York City is set to hire 1,000 contact tracers in May. Disease detectives who will be tasked with tracking down the city's coronavirus infections and warning people when they might have been exposed to COVID 19. City Councilman Mark Levine told Business Insider that such a system is essential to reopening the city because otherwise you can't really have a confidence that people you see around you in public aren't contagious. This spring and summer, a new corps of disease detectives will be on a mission to hunt down. Back this, I will go back and saying, disease detectives will be on a mission to hunt down every case of the coronavirus in New York City and get the illness off the streets. Their job will be to let anyone who might have been exposed to the confirmed COVID-19 case know you could be next. So this is a picture of, and the city is set to hire 1,000 contract tracers by the end of the month. This is the city of what these contract tracers will look like. They don't say what the credentials for these contract tracers are going to be, if they're part of the medical profession. These are people they're just going to hire to go around people who possibly have tested positive and either A, get them to testing, or B, if they are positive, then I'm sending them to quarantines. So it goes on to say New York City is currently hiring 1,000 people to help with this project. And Bill de Blasio, the mayor, who that's not even his real name, said that the he expects that number to blossom to 2,500 by early June before the city eventually employs between 5,000 to 10,000 contact tracers to make calls and, when needed, knock on doors warning people about their possible coronavirus exposures. The contact tracing this summer in New York will be on a scale that city and county has never quite seen before. Going on, some people will need to quarantine in hotels to keep the outbreak from spreading out of control in cramped quarters. Right now, with more than 1,000 new coronavirus cases being diagnosed in the city, every day it's possible for the city to track down every single confirmed coronavirus case and let people who have sustained meaningful contact with those individuals during the previous 2 weeks know they might be at risk of getting sick. Okay? So the city is also ready. 1,200 hotel rooms will be available by June for the testing and tracing project. The hotel rooms are to be used as the safe shelters for people who can't properly self quarantine at home. Don't get hold up. We got a FEMA piece in here. We talked a lot about FEMA. Learners said that the hotel rooms will be paid for by the city, but with significant reimbursement from FEMA. If you live in a kind of home or apartment where there isn't enough space and you can't be separated from other people in the home the right way, people are doing it all the time. That's fine. But there are many New Yorkers who live in such crowded circumstances that they simply couldn't isolate properly, de Blasio said of the hotel program. So don't get comfortable with this idea that they're just going to be quarantining people in these nice plush hotel rooms to get these contagious people off the street. And definitely, they didn't say anything about any medical care that will be given to any of these people while they're confined in the hotel rooms. So this is something that we talked about coming. Possibility that these folks We're going to start knocking on doors, and best believe this is not going to be going on in Park Avenue, on the streets of Park Avenue, or the east side of New York. This is going to be going on in urban cities, urban communities, where they're going to feel that they have the right to come to people's houses and say, "Oh, you got the coronavirus. You need to go into quarantine." And of course, look at the person with the nightstick and the radio. So why do I grab this picture? I'm going to grab this picture for a reason, because I want to show you something else. So in 1993, there was a movie. Let's see if I can pull the picture back up. There was a movie starring Cuba Gooding Jr., Omar Epps, and another young lady. She's not a great actress, so I probably didn't remember her name. See if I can get the picture back. But the movie is called Daybreak. So Daybreak is a 1993 film, not the greatest, but it's based on a play. I think the play was much better than the movie. But the film is about America has a contagious virus that is hit. People aren't wearing masks like they're doing now, but the contagious virus is out. Sexually transmitted. Remember that HIV had just really taken off around 1991, where it was in the media. But had really started receiving media attention. I mean, HIV is an older virus, but at the same time didn't really get media attention to the 90s. So in this film, they kind of mixed it with possibility. They didn't know how it was being spreaded, but they really thought it was sexually transmitted. And then you see in the film where two gay men are kissing, and it's just the one female actress is like, oh my God, two guys kissing. They definitely are passing it. So really, kind of that ping on HIV being a very contagious virus, and kind of this idea that what if we isolated and quarantined these people and got them off the street? So hopefully that will stop the spread of the virus. So of course in this film, they promised that these people will be housed in this beautiful quarantine facility with trees, and they'll be treated great. But the reality was they were just dumping these folks in old mental health hospitals, weren't giving them any form of medication. Basically, remember in the 90s, that old adage that there was no cure for HIV, so they didn't give these people any medication or anything, and basically just let the people die. And they just scrapped the bodies when they were done. And you had to wear a P on you for positive to show that you did have the virus, and they were able to trace you by this branding P you had on you. So if you did have it, and they had special machines that would track you and be able to track this P. So here in this picture, Omar Epps is a young Omar Epps, fresh off of Juice in 1991, is a member of the cast in Daybreak. And this one, Omar's career, he has a couple of big movies moving in the 90s before he his career really kicked off in the early 2000s, late 2000s. Well, Omar Epps plays one of these community policers, and more, he's a tracker. He's out there tracking people who possibly may be showing symptoms of the contagion. He has a crew of other trackers with him. And that reminded me of this tracker story that they're creating these people, these trackers that are going to be hired. So these people are in the community watching out for anything that looks suspicious. They get on their radios like you saw in the picture before. We go back, you see they got their radios on in their nightstick just to crack people upside the head. Now this is, I believe, is Park Police. But see, they show this as an idea of what they want these trackers to look like. And it's the same, pretty much same setup with them having a nightstick, and they got radios, and they can call police officers whenever they want to, as far as if they have the inkling that someone might have this be contagious. That they don't have any equipment to test anybody or anything. So they're just pretty much sending people to test sites, and people don't come out to test site. And a lot of people in the film understand that these test sites are basically just sending these people off to these quarantine places where they're just left there to die in horrible conditions, where pretty much the city is like, fuck them, they're just a waste anyway. So it's not the greatest movie, but it has some images of where we might be headed if we don't do something to stand up. So, like I say, Tupac made a song called "Me and My Girlfriend." It's time to go get your girlfriend, because now it's time to protect your families. And we had talked about this coming earlier before, that this was a part of the new normal. These contract tracers hunting down. Talking about they hunting down, and you can call them trackers, because that's what they are. They're going to be hunting down people, going from door to door. Somebody in the house had the coronavirus. Well, Johnny had the coronavirus, so you might need to go into quarantine. Basically, quarantining people for no reason. And most of this, like we had said before, is going to happen in the city. So, me and my girlfriend time, as Tupac said, if you got them, go get them and be prepared. So when they come, hey, they got to understand coming from the jump that you're not just going to relinquish your family members over, because that's what this is, relinquishing family members. Your child has the coronavirus, or you and your child might need to go into the hotel, or they say you go into a hotel and then we go try to track you back to this hotel and you never checked in. So we have to be very careful as we move to this next part of this, where people are going to start disappearing. People are going to start thinking that these folks are going to quarantine them in a nice place, and that's not going to take place. So this is where we're headed. These traces are coming up. They're going to be hitting the streets in urban communities, pretty much knocking on doors saying Johnny's got it, and they're going to use fear to keep it going. So I don't know who's going to be in charge of this. Probably FEMA's going to be in charge of this. But this is where we headed to. This is where we headed to. So the biggest lie is you're going to be in a plush luxury. They got 1,200 hotel rooms. They got a bunch of cases of coronavirus. How 1,200 hotel rooms going to fit these people? So we know in New York, their big thing is gentrification, trying to come back in these communities. The easiest way to do that is get people out of communities. Some of these buildings where they want to move certain people into, hey, well, why don't we clear the building out? The easy way to say that, when you come in contact with somebody with, and remember that the city is set to hire 1,000 contact tracers. They're just going to say, basically, you come in contact with somebody. You're not even sick. You're not even sick. So aren't you going to be tested prior to them making the decision? And then they're going to tell you where you might be next, because I've come in contact with somebody. So what does this mean? That everybody that worked at the hospital, all the nurses who come in contact with their children, have to go into hotels or go into quarantine? Are we ever going to see these people again? This is where we headed. So New York, Chicago, we already said the big cities would be in play for this. And it would be the big city where civil unrest will start taking place, where the stormtroopers start knocking on doors saying, using the coronavirus as a reason, start pulling people out of their pulling people out of their homes. And we're going to this daybreak type of system, where they're telling folks that, oh yeah, we're going to send you to a place where you get medication and we take care of you. And that doesn't happen. You're basically just sending people to testing and death camps. But now they're just being killed off, and then you just say, hey, we open up the public safety. We do it under the guise of public safety. So quarantining is about to begin. Quarantining is about to begin. And people have to get ready for this. Like I said, it's me and my girlfriend time. And for those who know Tupac, know what the song is about. So the first thing when that thing opens, that should be one of the first places you go. Go ahead and get your girlfriend, because we're going to be ready for this. It's not going to be any coming in nobody home talking about we're taking your children because you and your children need to go into quarantine. No, we're not doing that. We're not getting down like that. So game time is over. We said this a long time ago. Either you fight for your freedom or they take it. That's just how it goes in life. Either you're going to fight for it or they're going to take it. It's either one or the other. You got to make up your mind, because when they come into your house telling you with these grins on their face, this smiling devil right here, Mark Levine, that, hey, this is how we have to do it. And they ain't going to attack nothing but those urban communities. Best believe they're coming straight into urban communities. Some Jewish communities they're going to come into, especially the big one on Brooklyn. Big one out there in Brooklyn that they've been trying to get their hands on for years. Just another reason to come on up in the community and start herding people off. This is herding. This is herding people off and using FEMA to do it. So Mr. Mahdi just telling you to beware and be warned that this is phase 2. This was phase two. We knew it was coming, but now it's here. Phase two of their plan of getting people off the street by quarantining people. No more quarantining your house. Now you're going to be forced to quarantine by cities and state governments. Mr. Maki,